The South American country of Ecuador has had a chaotic history, punctuated by coups d'etat and dictatorships. But in 2007, with the election of President Rafael Correa, the people of Ecuador chose a new way, a so-called citizens' revolution, based on the living well philosophy of the Quechua Indians. It's a way of living in harmony with oneself and others, but also of living right with nature and the environment. It's a whole new world just waiting to be discovered. My journey begins in the north of the country, at the heart of the Andes Cordillera. Before becoming the central idea behind Ecuador's Renaissance, the living well philosophy of the Quechua people had been ignored, scorned, and beaten down for centuries. My first encounter takes place at an altitude of 3,000 meters in Imbabura province.
Vamos.
Rafael Salazar is a Yachai of his community. Yachai is Quechua for wise man. He and his friend Aurelio Tuquez proudly introduced me to some aspects of his culture.
This is our place of worship and ceremony, the Papashaktapa Sun Temple. It's a sacred place where we give thanks to our father, Pachacamac, the sun god, and to Pachamama, the earth mother, and where we celebrate the summer solstice. Now we're going to prepare the altar. The red flowers mark out the path of gold. Red also symbolizes the struggle of our ancestors, the blood they shed and the sacrifices they made. The white flowers represent the path of the sun. That's the course taken by the sun. We're now going to ask the god Pachacamac to shed light on our community and on the authorities of this country so that they will show justice in their actions.
The Earth Mother, Pachamama, is considered a living being and is at the core of everything. For a few minutes, as the wind gusts, I get the strange feeling that a benevolent presence will be keeping watch over my journey. I meet up with Aurelio Tuquez again in the village of Yuracruz. Aurelio is a farmer. He's witnessed the gradual change of mentality in Ecuador over the last few years. It has, he says, been a long and difficult process.
These are small beans. They are our basic foodstuff, the sort of thing that we eat in the countryside. My wife prepares them for when we're going out to work.
I'm just fixing lunch. I've prepared some corn, which we'll have with some potatoes and hard-boiled eggs. And I'll add a spicy sauce.
I'm the representative of a workers' association here in Veracruz. We've been fighting for over 20 years now to be the owners of this land. We lost our own language because of the people of mixed race who came here to work for the big landowners. They didn't want the Indians to have any power. They didn't want us to be able to read or write. They were afraid we'd defeat the whites and those of mixed race with our intelligence. So they went into the schools and told the teachers, they're not allowed to speak Quechua, only Spanish. We were persecuted and threatened, even threatened with death. They said, we'll kill all those who continue to speak Quechua. We'll kill you like dogs, and no one will mourn your passing. That's why I'm grateful to our current president. We can see how the education system is changing. A lot of progress has been made.
Considerable progress, in fact. School is now compulsory and free, and school books, uniforms and meals are all paid for by the government. Simple rules which guarantee an education for everyone and at least one good meal per day for the poorest children. We begin a journey which will take us from the volcanic summits of the Andes Cordillera to the verdant depths of Amazonia, and from the Pacific coast to the ecological sanctuary of the Galapagos archipelago. We pass through Otavalo. This small town of 40,000 inhabitants has become famous for its artisan products and market, which is one of the country's top tourist attractions.
These are handmade fabrics made from sheep wool, using no artificial coloring. Everything is natural. We make the dyes ourselves, using lemon and all kinds of different plants. You almost have to be a mathematician to do these patterns. They're based on local flowers, which are very symmetrical. In the center there, it's summer, then winter, and then the cycle repeats, but with different colors.
In Imbabura province, near the town of Urcuqui, a strange hive of activity piques my curiosity. In the middle of nowhere, I discover a very unusual building site. They're building an entire town here. Yachay, the City of Knowledge, it's a $1 billion project financed for the most part by the profits from Ecuadorian oil.
The part is a university.
Where there is nothing here.
Nothing here. Yeah. Bulldozers and some trucks over there.
Yeah.
There is a university site.
How long for this to become like this?
Maybe 3 years in only the university, and a whole town, whole city must be 2035.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It all has to be finished really quickly. Here we have the professors' residences. They're houses which were originally 200 years old. Good evening. How's it going? Everything okay? Can we get past? We'll go this way.
Yes,
Sorry, excuse us. Can we get through?
of course.
Great. This project is having a huge impact throughout the whole country. Not so long ago, the idea of Ecuador becoming a nation of science would have been unthinkable. We've always been thought of as a banana republic. The idea is to export our knowledge, our prototypes, our inventions, our software, our technology. We're telling the rest of the world that we can do this, that we're capable of it. That's the citizens' revolution. We're making it happen right now. We all believe in it. And it's accelerated change. It's happening really fast. This revolution is creating a new mindset, and we're working really hard to achieve it.
As the construction noises go on echoing through the night, I hit the road again. My first surprise on arriving in Quito is the closeness of the volcano Pichincha, one of the most dangerous in the country. Despite a recent eruption and several earthquakes, the Ecuadorian capital, indifferent to the danger, just keeps on growing. I keep catching myself casting anxious glances at the mist cloaking the summit, worrying that it may not be just the mist. But finally, it dissipates, and my anxiety with it. Culture, too, is benefiting from the reforms taking place in the country, giving young artists access to means of expression previously restricted to an elite. In the south of the city, I meet Hector Cobo Gomez, who's researching locations for a documentary.
What interests me here is that the gargoyles protecting the church are typically Ecuadorian. I really like that. You don't find gargoyles based on real animals anywhere else, only here. And over there, you see, we have the devil. Why? Because the devil wants to know what God's doing, just as God wants to know what the devil's doing. Both have to exist. One makes the other necessary, and vice versa. We're on Garcia Moreno Street. This is a very important street in Quito, and it will play an important part in my film. Right at the end, you have the presidential palace. The thing that interests me for my film is that in this street there are 7 churches, each of which is marked by a cross, the sign of Catholicism. They form a sort of enormous line linking heaven and earth. And between the two is the statue of the Virgin of Quito. This street is important for my film because to me it symbolizes power, the power of God and the devil. And just by chance, it's the street where the president lives.
The sound of singing draws me to Independence Square. A religious ceremony is taking place right under the windows of the presidential palace. They say it's better to appeal directly to God than to his saints. So if I want to learn more about the citizens' revolution, who better to talk to than its main architect?
The citizens' revolution is basically a political project for changing the reality of South America. In a country like Ecuador with so much equality, so much bogus power, so many unjust structures, where the great majority of the people have been excluded from a decent standard of living for centuries, it was necessary to act politically. I think we're really creating something new. Without being naive, We believe in the importance of people over money. We're implementing a modern type of left-wing thinking which rejects the obvious mistakes made by traditional socialism. The fundamental thing is that people are more important than capital. I see the major problem in the world today, in France, in Europe, in the dominant nations, as capital's absolute dominance over human beings. We've shown the people of Ecuador that there are other ways of moving forward, that we don't have to keep using the same old model. This has given rise to great hope in the idea of the citizens' revolution, which is defined as a radical, deep and rapid change of existing structures. It's all about changing a system that's created poverty, misery, inequality, the loss of self-esteem, and a relinquishing of sovereignty, and constructing national projects. Projects of the people, which aim to restore justice, equality, dignity, humanism and self-confidence. And I have no doubt we shall succeed. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
After being re-elected twice, Rafael Correa now has been in power for 6 years. It's the first time since the 19th century that Ecuador has known such stability. But not all the changes taking place can be credited to the government. A few years ago, Israel left his community in the Amazonian rainforest to come and study economics and tourism at the university in Quito.
The reason I came to the city was to study how to improve my community's quality of life. We owe it to ourselves to see that we are better educated than our parents were. For we now have the opportunity to learn, with access to free education, to free schools. We must all learn and study so that we're not left by the roadside. It's a whole new way of thinking.
Israel and his community are taking part in an unusual project set up by the Central University of Ecuador. Today, Israel's coming to see the man in charge of the project, Fernando Pico. The idea is to raise the awareness of all the students about the importance of the university's commitment to protecting the Amazonian rainforest.
I'm talking about a zone of primary forest where there's been no human intervention. We from the university are present at the site, and we're working with the Pablo Lopez Quechua community right there in the forest, studying the biodiversity. This research can help the entire planet. The Amazonian Scientific Station is a project developed by the university in the zone of Arajuno. It's a center for researching the fauna, the flora, and the natural water systems. We're working there with the Pablo Lopez del Oglan Alto Quechua community. Our students have been going there for 12 years now, working on their theses. They can do their research in situ, where the community is helping to preserve the forest.
The Amazonian rainforest has always been a place of mystery to me, filled with danger and astonishing creatures. So I leap at the invitation from Fernando and Israel to go with them and discover for myself the world's greatest reservoir of biodiversity. We leave Quito and head for the southeast of the country. On the road, I'm nervous with anticipation about what I'm going to find. I still remember the descriptions of the 18th century French explorer Charles-Marie de la Condamine, who expected to find a race of Amazons. And then there was Aguirre, the Spanish conquistador, who, along with his men, got lost in what seemed a green hell. Am I like them, expecting an El Dorado which doesn't exist? An Amazonian legend tells of the mythological creature Curupira, protector of the forest, the animals, and those who live in harmony with nature, but a fierce enemy of any who would harm it. Curupira is able to turn into prey and lure wicked hunters deep into the fathomless twists and turns of the jungle. It is said, although this is of course just a story told to children, that Curupira lures the forest's enemies in so deep that they become lost forever. Watched by 1,000 pairs of eyes, I reach a makeshift hospital right in the heart of the jungle.
Navi is over there. We've had her since she was a baby. We first got her because the local community ate her mother at Christmas. She was so small that we had to feed her with a baby's bottle. She'd lived all her life in contact with humans and couldn't survive in the wild.
The Ecuadorian government is a long way away, yet even here, I find the spirit of the citizens' revolution, an idea which inspires plenty of individual combats, like Sophia's.
This place was set up 20 years ago. We had to protect the animals and change the mentality of the Quechua communities. The traffic in wild animals has gradually increased, so we've created a protection zone here where they can be kept safe and then perhaps be released back into the wild. It's a large space, right here in the forest where they're safe. We work with volunteers, and we also educate the children through the schools. It's important to raise the awareness of future generations. We have volunteer vets, biologists. That's how we work.
And the university too.
And now there's the university too, yes. They pass that way. It's a big space, so they have plenty of room. You sometimes see them climbing the trees.
There?
Yes, there he is. That's Job. He's an ocelot. He used to live with this lady just like a pet cat. He was small, he wasn't aggressive. Then one day the lady went away on holiday, leaving food and water for him, of course. But when she got back, the ocelot wouldn't let her back inside because it had become his territory. She had to call the police to get rid of him. Ocelots, like all cats, are territorial. You can't turn animals of the forest into domestic pets. But we can't set Job free now because he's lost his hunting instinct. If we released him now, the danger is that he'd go into a house, scare the people there, or attack their hens, and get himself killed. On top of that, ocelot skins fetch a lot of money for making bags and things.
I'm surrounded by birdsong, cries, strange murmurs, 1,000 sounds, 1,000 movements among the leaves. The invisible presence of life, swarming, free and mysterious. Bewitched by these melodious sounds and accompanied by my university friends, I head on further into the forest. A few hours of walking will bring us to the area where Israel grew up.
Entonces, es un bosque
This is primary forest.
primario,
It's untouched.
intacto, ¿no? Mi casa, mi hogar,
It's my house,
nuestro
my home,
respiración,
my
aire
breath.
puro y eso, ¿no?
It's pure fresh air.
Dentro de nuestro bosque
But in
existe
this forest,
lo
there's
que es,
oil.
el
And that poses a
problema
problem
ahora
between us and
viene
the
con el
government.
Estado. Nosotros queremos proteger, pero
We want to protect it,
el Estado
and the
quiere
government
explotar los
wants to
recursos
exploit the non-renewable natural
naturales no
resources.
renovables. Entonces, eso es
So at this
una de las
moment, the
discusiones
discussions
que
are
en este
ongoing.
momento
Arahunu, Israel's native village, is very unlike what I was expecting. My green dream morphs into a nightmare of machinery. I'm puzzled. I feel I've landed in the middle of a huge contradiction. On the one hand, there's the Quechua philosophy, that of living well in harmony with the environment, and on the other, there's money and oil. Yet the Ecuadorian government did seek alternatives to oil exploration. Rafael Correa reached out to the international community for financial assistance, but all to no avail. The deep transformations being wrought on the country need to be financed, so the oil will be exploited. The deafening din of the diggers drowns out the myriad sounds of nature as it is destroyed. In this frontier setting, I come upon a surprisingly surrealistic building, the town hall, and Israel's uncle, the mayor.
There was nothing here before, only forest. We have to develop and eradicate poverty. People in other countries think it's so wonderful to live in the mountains or the forest. They're well developed, but they want us to remain poor, up in our mountains. No, well, not anymore. In this community and all through this country, we need this development. We don't want to live like animals in the forest anymore. We're human beings, and we have minds of our own.
So that's the price to pay, to emulate the lifestyle of developed countries. It's with a sense of relief that I leave town and head back into the forest. Fernando leads us to the university's scientific station.
In our community, when we go into the forest, we first perform a small ritual. I'll do it to protect you and make sure the demons of the forest don't get you. Then you'll be safe. I'll do you after, Fernando. That's it. It's done.
Thank you.
Thus, protected from the evil spirits, we go on our way into the labyrinthine forest.
This plant is ayausa. It's a plant we use for cooking. We eat it. It grows everywhere around here.
This territory is of particular interest to Fernando and the university people from Quito, because this small parcel of protected forest, Oglan Alto, is home to a quarter of all the species that exist in Amazonia, flora and fauna included. It presents an incredible wealth of material for scientific study.
If they come into this forest to drill for oil, all of this water will be contaminated. People are divided about it. Even within the local community, there are those who want to sell the whole area for a plateful of beans, for next to nothing. But look at what we have here. The oil people come here with their dollars and their booze, and they win people over. And it's exactly the same as what happened 500 years ago with the Spanish conquistadors. They gave the people mirrors. That's all, just mirrors. But the Indians were dazzled by them, and they gave the Spaniards all their gold. The same thing is happening now.
After a trek of several hours, we finally reached the scientific station.
The difficulty isn't to physically reach this place. It's to change the mentality we have at the university and within the community. This type of exchange between the two is something new. It never existed before. But I think that we can carry out some really important research here. It's a place where we can study and be truly creative and innovative.
Studying the Amazonian rainforest means delving into a great mystery. So, once night has fallen, I consult one who speaks to the spirits, the shaman.
A shaman is a wise man in tune with nature, the flowers, the trees, the lakes, with the stones, the swamps, the mountains, and also with what you would call the various spirits. When you have a nightmare, when you sense a negative presence, you take ayahuasca. This drink helps you to see what is there. And when you can see it, you can drive it away.
Ayahuasca is a drink brewed from a creeper. It's been used by Amazonia's native people for over 5,000 years. The visions brought on by the plant are considered an insight into a reality beyond the everyday world. Ayahuasca is drunk for medicinal purposes, for divining the future, but mostly as a way of becoming one with nature. The shaman tells me that where my Westerner's eyes see just a forest, animals and insects, he sees a whole city, cathedrals and people. Before leaving the forest, I go through the town of Shell. The name goes back to the time when the oil company was prospecting in the region. Search as I might, I see no signs of definite improvements brought by oil exploration. I continue on my way, heading east to west towards the Pacific coast. I stop in the shadow of Chimborazo, the last volcano on my route, the peak of which is at an altitude of 6,268 meters. In this wild landscape, I see a few vicuñas, which seem to be in great shape despite the altitude. The same can hardly be said for me, and I keep moving westwards. On the 18th of November 1520, a European navigator discovered a hitherto unknown ocean. For several weeks he drifted on a becalmed and windless sea. The crew was reduced to eating the leather of the rigging. Ferdinand Magellan named this ocean El Pacífico. It's a dream come true for me. At Puerto Lopez, I encounter the Pacific Ocean for the first time in my life. In the early hours of the morning, I join the pelicans as they welcome the fishermen back to shore.
If you include the shopkeepers, the fishermen, those who fish on a smaller scale, let's say there are about 2,000 of us. All these trucks go to Quito and all over the country. They go to Guayaquil, Quito, Puerto Viejo. They go everywhere.
Once upon a time, there was an Indian chief called Guayas, who was loved by everyone. One day, he heard that the Spanish conquistadors were planning to abduct his wife, Quil, a woman of rare beauty. Although taken prisoner, he managed to give his Spaniard captors the slip, killed his wife with a spear, then threw himself in the sea. This dark tragedy is the legend behind the founding of the city of Guayaquil. Guayaquil has a reputation as a violent and dangerous place, but things are changing. The country's reforms are having an effect here too. Formerly dangerous neighborhoods like Las Penas have been restored and rehabilitated. A traveler can feel perfectly safe here now. But I decide to wander away from Las Penas and its tourists, going to the neighborhood of Guasmo in the south of the city. Guasmo looks to me like it's been forgotten. Being too far from the center of town and the tourist groups, life here is a struggle. The citizens' revolution hasn't reached here yet. But change is being affected through the actions of individuals, with or without the government's help. Nublis Chicande is a solitary woman fighting for what she believes in. For years now, she's been leading a combat for her community.
Hello, are you okay? Hello, Teresa. How are you? I'm just going for a look over here, okay? Hello, children. Oh, are you singing a song? Hello. Hello. I opened this center. There were mothers who had to go to work. And this place was needed so that their children weren't left alone and didn't end up hanging around the streets. There was this need, so we opened the center. It was complicated, but we managed it in the end. Perseverance, that's all we have. We'd like to add an upstairs now. That would improve the conditions a lot for the children we look after here. We need different spaces for the children to take naps in, to play in, and so on. So another floor would really improve things. My dream for this community is, and we're getting there gradually, I want us, the women of this community, to be free to choose for ourselves, to fully exercise our rights, to be an integral part of this country's development. Because we women are the backbone of all society.
After leaving Mrs. Shikandi, I'm drawn to the sound of music. Rather than letting the hardships of life in a neighborhood like this beat them down, the Rizero family have found refuge in artistic expression of various kinds.
I'm getting ready for the neighborhood's end-of-year festivities, the Año Viejo, or the Old Year Festival. We put all the bad luck and unhappiness that's happened during the year into these dummies, and then we give them a good beating and we burn them. Once we've done that, we're free to welcome in the new year. This is Chucky. This is Scooby-Doo. Other people make these dummies for nothing, but I make them for money, so I can help my children out. My elder one with his painting, and my younger one with his music.
I was watching the television one day, and I saw this violinist called André Rieu. That was what got me interested in music. And I started watching loads of videos on the internet. My dream is to be a great conductor one day. The best even.
Carlos is taking part in a program launched by the Juan Cavilca Foundation.
The aim of this musical program is to introduce the world of music into underprivileged environments. These children have never had the chance to express or even discover their musical talent. It's a way for the children and their families to develop self-esteem and to understand that music isn't some distant thing that they can't aspire to.
I'd say that about 90% of the youngsters who have been through here now make a living from music.
And so they keep up the fight both for themselves and others. I really hope that one day Carlos's dream of becoming a great conductor comes true. I leave bustling Guayaquil and catch a flight for the Galapagos Islands, 1,000 kilometers further west in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I land on Santa Cruz Island. And to think I was expecting a craggy, primeval landscape like in all those pictures I've seen. Instead of giant tortoises and iguanas, I find a tourist trap and a marathon. Somewhat put out, I decide to seek the calmer neighborhoods of town.
Check that there are no cars coming first, okay? Look left first. Okay, then go. Let's go, let's go.
This is where I meet Monica, who invites me to join her and her young charges.
We're going to Monica's.
Okay.
Why?
She teaches us how to make pottery and ceramics.
It was a very important decision for me when I came here 32 years ago. My daughter was still very small, and I wanted to work somewhere peaceful and quiet. My daughter could walk safely in the street. There were no cars then, just a Jeep, a pickup truck, and a bus. 3 vehicles in all. It was a real paradise back then. And now I still have this little paradise here, which I share with the kids. That's why I'm taking you to see it. That's lovely, Marisol. Well done. You can make what you want, or do a drawing instead if you want.
Can I make a dog?
I want you to take your piece of clay and try to feel your connection with your animal. You can draw it if you like or sculpt it, it's up to you. But the important thing is to feel the animal you've been close to during your 2 weeks holiday. Either sculpt it or draw it or just write its name, it's up to you. Look here. We have an iguana and a cat. What do we want to show the tourists? The iguana or the cat?
The iguana.
And what will the cat do to the iguana?
It'll kill it.
I love animals, but I don't have any dogs or cats. If I wanted a cat or a dog, I'd go and live on the mainland. I wouldn't stay here. Don't forget that when you're older. At this age, I don't think there's much difference between what they feel and what they think. We have to bring about a revolution in their sensibility, in their way of learning and thinking. If you always put thought first, you kill their sensibility.
El pensamiento destruye la sensibilidad.
Monica admits to me that her little workshop isn't going to change the world. But if she can just instill in the children a few notions of ecology, of respect for the fauna and flora, she feels the next generation may realize what a treasure these islands represent. Monica suggests I get off Santa Cruz Island if I want to see the real untouched Galapagos. So I catch a taxi boat to San Cristobal Island. At last, this is the Galapagos of my dreams. Watched by a sardonic-looking sea lion, I approach a group of surfers, the young jet set of San Cristobal.
Well, when the weather's nice, we mostly like to come to the beach. If the surf's up, then we'll go surfing. Or we'll just hang out on the beach with our friends.
We're fully aware that this is a unique place. We think it's fantastic. We make the most of living here among the animals. It's like nowhere else on Earth.
Sometimes the sea lions run towards me. That's pretty scary.
It used to be the foreigners who were totally blown away by this place. They'd come here and tell the natives, "Be careful, you have to protect this." Now it's us, the natives, who tell visitors, "Be careful, this is our home, protect it."
y también transmitirlo. Como pueden ver aquí,
And we have to pass this on, tell the younger kids, and get it into their heads.
y más que todo es cuidar.
Protect, protect, protect. Always protect.
It's on this beach at San Cristobal Island, within reach of paradise, that my journey comes to an end. On my trip, I've discovered a country undergoing profound change as it reinvents itself, and witnessed some of the major reforms launched by the government. But what will linger in my memory are the men and women passionately taking their own personal initiatives to try and create a better world.
¡A que no me quema!